anyway, here it is. There it is. All right, so now, so again, here we are actually given the value for f, okay? And what we want to find is c. So we have this equation to solve. And it's just basic algebra. You know, c is basically our unknown. You want to find it. Okay, so what do? Well, we subtract 32 from each side, as you can see. Doing so, we get 47 is 1.8 times c. Now, generally, you want to have the unknown on the left side. That's why I rewrote. That's why I did this. I interchanged the two sides. You could do it at the very end instead. I just chose to do it here randomly. But now we want to get, again, we want c. So what do we do here? We divide both sides by 1.8, as you can see. And so we get c turns out to be this. Again, I said round to 2 decimal places, and that's what's happening here. So in other words, 79 degrees in Fahrenheit is the same as 26.11 degrees Celsius. So that's what we have here. Okay, so again, it's just a basic calculation. It's all it boils down to. All right. Okay, now what I want to do next is rates. You actually have seen rates before. You have, I mean, what is a rate? It's just a ratio of two quantities, which we usually express as fractions. You know, ratios, you could do that in general. You could write them as a fraction. And we also have in particular a unit rate. That's when the denominator is 1. But you have seen these before. For instance, when you're driving and you see a speed limit sign, right? The speed limit is 30 miles per hour. That's a rate. 30 miles per hour, that's a rate. When you have the per, that usually means a fraction. If instead you're at the, the grocery store, and you want to buy some fruit or vegetables, whatever, you know, stuff that sells by the pound, you would, you know, if you want to buy that, they might say this costs $3 per pound. That's another rate. See, so in this case, it's 25 miles per hour. This is what I actually mean. Per, right? That's our fraction. Or like I said, at the store, $2 per pound. These are rates. In fact, they're unit rates because the denominator, the quantity is 1. Like 1 hour, 1 pound. Okay, that's what we get. Good. Okay. Here's another one. You can actually invert either rate, actually. I did the first one, 1 hour per 25 miles. And we get another rate. It's not a unit rate anymore because the denominator is not 1. It's 25 miles. So because of that, we don't have a unit rate, but we have a rate though. And we will solve problems involving rates now. And you'll see the way we approach it, it's kind of like what we did for the factor label method, where we had those unit conversions. You're basically going to multiply and cancel units. We're going to multiply and cancel units. Okay, so here's our first example. Let's suppose, I have a car that I can drive 300 miles on 20 gallons of gas. Again, this is hypothetical. So the first thing we want to do is we want to express this as a unit rate, meaning we want to write this as a fraction where the denominator's quantity is 1. Okay, well, as a rate to begin with, we have 300 miles over 20 gallons, right? That's a rate. 300 miles over 20 gallons, okay? But we want this to be a unit rate. So basically, we want to change this 20 into 1. Okay, how do we do that? Well, we can basically factor the numerator, as you can see, because 300 is 15 times 20. And that helps us because the 20s cancel. The 20s are gone now. And so we're left with 15 miles over 1 gallon. I didn't write the 1 there, but it's understood to be per gallon, 1 gallon that is. But now we have a unit rate. Okay, that's good. And that's going to help us with number 2, right? Number 2 is asking, how far can I drive on 35 gallons? So if I only have 35 gallons, let's say, in the car, how many miles can I drive? What are we going to do? We're going to use this unit rate. Namely, what we're going to end up doing is multiply. Okay, if we multiply, as you can see, what's going to happen? These two units are going to cancel, right? Gallon is gone. And what we're left with is 15 miles times 35. So it's really, again, it's just like when we worked with unit conversions. We multiply. Okay? We multiply. In this case, the rate here, the unit rate, is our unit conversion. We multiply, the unit gallon is gone, and we're left with this, as you can see. And so we get 525 miles. That's what we're left with. Okay. Now you might be thinking, did we really need to do number 1? That is, did we really need to express this as a unit rate? Well, no, you didn't. What you could have done is just taken the 35 gallons and multiplied by this. And that's what you can do here. That's what I'm saying here. So you could have just done this product. And what's going to happen is, just like up here, the units will cancel. And you're left with 300 over 20 times 35 miles. And how would you calculate this? Well, again, you could use a calculator and do calculation. It turns out you'll get 15 times 35, which is 525 miles. So you'll get the same answer, of course. But I'm just saying here, you don't have to express the rate as a unit rate. You could, but you don't have to. Okay, let me just see something first. Okay, so let me just do another one of those polls.